Good afternoon and welcome to Padre's Ponderings from the chapel.
Hello, hello, hello.
On the Cross Schools campus.
On the Cross Schools campus. Looking outside the window out there, I see a police car out there from the security person next door.
We do. We have a full-time police officer on the Cross campus every day when they have school. And she'll move the car over here because they play in that whole area for playground in the field. So she blocks it off.
You know, it's sad,
nice.
sad that we have to do that kind of stuff.
But also very comforting.
Amen.
When I pull in every day and I see that car, it's like, thank you.
Amen.
And that we've partnered with Bluffton Police Department for that, the town of Bluffton. So,
what you got going on today?
well, today is officially, this past weekend, it's an official season in the South.
And that would be?
Football.
Football. Yeah, it's not
we don't really do
fall and winter and spring and all that. We move from summer to football.
Right, which will last through.
So did your teams do, or you don't pay any attention to that, or what?
The opening weekend, there aren't many. It's usually a really good team playing a small school, so they can beat up on them on the first game.
So is that what happened last night with Duke of Clemson? It was a little school and a big school? Or? Nope.
Nor Saturday. South Carolina, both colleges, big colleges in South Carolina, are going to have to step up next week.
Yeah. Doesn't always work that way, though. All that upset stuff is...
and a lot of people, they come into that game because it is usually, like Clemson, I remember going to a couple of openers with a childhood friend of mine, and they would play like Troy.
Yeah.
But last night was not like that. So.
And football teams are getting more even and all that now, so with the transferring of people all around so much.
All that stuff, yeah. So, something different on to watch, and that's the only reason we pay for any kind of subscription services, so that we can watch football in fall. So we had a conversation this morning, so should we cancel come January after the championship? Perhaps.
Perhaps. Whoa.
I don't want to hear the news, and, it's...
No, a little of that goes a long way.
Right, you can clutch a quick blip on the internet and not have to listen to it all the time.
So what else is happening?
Was just over at Cross Schools, and tons of stuff going on over there, and stopped into the office to touch base with Christy Wheat. And
tomorrow they'll be having chapel programs in here, 9 and 10. The place will be loaded with children 2 times tomorrow. That's wonderful.
Charlie and David and I met and talked about Cross Point services coming up.
Baptized 2 Cross Schools young ladies yesterday on the historic campus.
Mom? You had 3.
And a mom, one of the children's mom, got baptized as well. That was special. And I think we're going to start doing, Nathan says there's probably 15 to 20 students over there who would like to get baptized. So I think we're going to work out some kind of special way of doing services here, and maybe in the family chapel or in the school chapel or something like that, where it would be where the children can be baptized in front of their classmates and stuff.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
So I don't know where we are on that. We're working on that now.
So if we did that, we would just take the font over there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how Nathan wants to do that, and but I think we need to make that happen.
I love the idea of doing it with the school, with the families, with the school, with the students, so they can see their peers making that decision.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's that thing about influence, and it's one thing when you read about something, or it's someone 1,000 miles away. It's another thing if it's your buddy, who is like you, and now is making a step to be a little bit different, or in this case, baptism a whole lot different, and it gives rise to questions and all kinds of things, because we're influenced by virtually everything that happens now, and sadly, it used to be that our worlds were much smaller, and your influence was from multiple generations in your own family and neighbors that had been neighbors for generations. People just didn't move. But now Now the major influences are coming over those little machines that you're holding, and they're not all good at all. In fact, I suspect if there was some way to measure it, few would be what a Christian family would say would be wholesome. Few. So it's a different time. So we need to work on this community that we're building across schools for those young people, where they're in an environment where their influences are positive and are not for short term but for long term. So we'll figure out ways to do that now. And as the Faith Formation program has been in place now for 3 years, and it's developing real fruit. You've got children coming up into junior high school and high school who have been hearing the word over a period of time, and they're learning about it, and it's resonating with them. That's the idea we knew it would. So.
And for some families, that is their weekly, well, when the families come in for family chapel once a month, like that, they consider that their service.
It's their service. The school is their church, I guess is what you would say. And it's sure their community of faith, because most don't have that in their neighborhoods, sadly.
So we had first confirmation class for session for adults on
Strengthening
Sunday.
Your Journey.
Strengthening Your Journey. This was the second week for our youth. And so we've got nine or 10 youth going through confirmation with a mentor. And then
I like that idea.
Different faith formation teachers, Nathan and David Ray and several others, are taking turns teaching the lesson for each week. Mm-hmm. Theirs is, I think, 6 weeks long. The adult one is 4. So this week was all about the church, the historic church, which we have elements of it here too. Yep. What everything is there for, why, the symbolism of it.
Yep. I got a good group.
We have over 70 adults.
That's just amazing. Just amazing. And they're from all different backgrounds. I like that part of it too. And I think that's one of the things that we're trying to do when you bring everybody into the historic church and you talk about everything that's there. It's kind of getting folks on that same background, because nobody has come from a church that looked exactly like that.
Right.
And yet every church they've been in has had some things in there that were like what's in the historic church. But they just wouldn't explain to them, or they didn't pay attention to it, or whatever. And so if we try to get folks in from all different backgrounds and develop a kind of a common base. And this week and next week, John will be teaching Anglican church history, and then I'll be talking about the sacraments. And then the next week out of that, what does church membership really mean? Because I think it means different things for different people, and very often what it really means, and what it really means is never really explained to folks like they ought to. So every church, well, I don't know about every church, but communion and baptism would be sacraments would be in most churches. But the other sacraments that we have are not necessarily in most churches, not lifted up as a sacrament. But anyway, we'll work through all of that. So, and then at the end of 5 weeks, the following Wednesday we'll have Bishop Lawrence here. And he'll be confirming people or reaffirming their faith, or receiving them into the faith, in his own way acknowledging the fact that these folks have taken a significant step in strengthening their journey. So it'll be really special.
So you explained on the historic campus that would have been considered, when it was built, a low church. Mm-hmm. Can you break that down for us today? What the difference
idea
is?
of high and low in Protestant churches, a high church would be a church facility or church worship services that contain many elements that you will find in a Catholic church. Statues, stained glass windows, a lot of bright brass work, vestments, bells, incense, those kinds of things that would normally be associated with a Catholic church. If a Protestant church has many of those elements, then it would be considered a high church. The other end of that would be the churches that are absolutely bland, like you might find in a Baptist church, the little Baptist church I grew up in. It was just, there was four walls and plain old windows, and I mean there was nothing at all ornate about it. Nothing. So the ones that tend to be more less decorative, very plain, those would be considered low church, which would be closer to the Baptist and folks like that. And so, you know, you look at the Church of the Cross, and it doesn't have ornate stained glass windows. It has very subdued stained glass windows. You don't see a lot of bright work, decorations, all that kind of stuff. You don't see that. So it would tend to be more low church in what you see in there, but very much a traditional church in its Gothic architecture and all the rest of that.
Do you think that when it was originally built in the 1800s that it was a low church because of location had a lot to do with it? It wasn't used every Sunday. It was seasonal.
I think perhaps it was that way. The architect,
White, was his last name White?
E.B. White,
E.B. White,
designed Trinity Cathedral in Columbia,
which is not
which
plain,
is very
that's
high church. But it has the cruciform. Church of the Cross has the cruciform thing. But it was very obviously not a church for genteel people. Bluffton was very blue collar, you know, and you're wanting to. He's designed a church that's much like that in its form, but it's for a much more. It's hard to say ordinary, but that's not good. But plain-spoken people, folks whose faith is plain, who don't use stilted languages, who understand that God is there in the day-to-day. And their church building is not an exceptional building in design and beauty and all the rest of that. It's functional, and blue-collar people tend to be functional kind of people in what they have in their home and everything else. Things have a purpose, they have a reason. And they took church seriously. Not because of what they were coming to see, but because of their relationship with God, who was absolutely necessary for survival in their lives. So the church was a functional place at a time when religion was important to people. And I think that would be one reason why it's built where it is. If you go back to the 1850s and the only way into Bluffton was by that dock, it's astounding to me that the piece of property where that church is built would be the most valuable piece of property in the whole area, because of its proximity to the source of life, right there. Just amazing to me. Now, in our day and time, a church would never be built in that kind of significant location. It just would not. But it speaks to the significance of faith in their lives back then. They were cutting it out, just cutting it out.
And didn't you say that a big hurricane came through and took out 75 feet, so that property, the church was set further back from the water.
But still on the water.
Right.
Still on the water. Yeah, the whole May River was rerouted in that storm. Yeah. Amazing. But people had a different set of values back then. For right or for wrong, they had a different set of values. So what are you looking forward to in the next week? Here we got the confirmation stuff is coming up. Food Bank had the barbecue yesterday.
They had a barbecue on holidays. On Mondays, they only do the one where they give out at lunchtime, but they don't do the late afternoon. And then they have, I think Craig made barbecue ribs, he said.
Have a crowd come for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing, the whole Food Bank thing, and thank all y'all for supporting that. It just is an amazing ministry that keeps on going. It really does. And we've got a visitor training for people for working with God's Goods, volunteer training.
We have volunteer for God's Goods training coming up. We have 2 coming up. We have leadership workshop coming up on Saturday.
Yep.
So if you are interested in being a leader, a lot of ministries have put forward people's names that are going to be rising up into leadership positions.
And this really is people who are already involved in ministry that have demonstrated fellowship, because you can't be a leader if you're not a follower. Demonstrated that, and then the people that are in leadership invite them to come. So it's not just open doors, come if you want. If you want to, it's not that kind of thing. It's more of an invitational to folks who have exemplified what it means to be a follower of Christ by being able to minister to others in the Lord's name.
How long have you been doing that 3-session series?
Wow, 20 years, maybe longer. I used to do all 3, and then about 12 years ago, the middle session started to have vestry because I felt like it was good for the people to see lay people in leadership roles in the church, and vestry is surely that. And that's been a big plus. I used to teach that session, but not anymore. And that's a good thing. Very good thing. Very good thing.
What's the biggest thing that you want people to get who are going into leadership? And we have 70 plus ministries at least.
I think the biggest thing that a principle that runs through the whole thing is the upside downness of the gospel. That the one who would be first of all must be least of all and servant of all. That in the scriptures the way up is down, and that the mark of a Christian leader is humility, and that's not what you see in worldly leadership. You don't see that, and so that's a trend through the whole thing. Jesus said you've got to deny yourself, to die to yourself, deny yourself, however you want to phrase that, to live for me. And most of us promote ourselves, and we want others to live for us. And so that theme runs through everything in the teaching of it. It's in the heart of what we do here at church. And so that's why there's always need for leaders, because there's not many people willing to deny themselves. And the folks who have been very successful leaders in the secular world really, they think it's just, well, the church is another part of the secular world, so you lead the same way, but you don't. And very often, people who have been successful in the world find it very, very difficult in a Christian leadership program, because it goes against everything they've been taught. It's a dog-eat-dog thing. And you're climbing up, you're using people and all that. And in the world, in the church, you're trying to promote people and demote yourself. Not purposefully, it just happens as humility steps in. So people that are worldly leaders really struggle with all that. So there's always room for leadership in the church. Just like there's always room for fellowship, for servants in the church. Again, people that have been very successful in the world, they're about the more successful you are, the more people you have serving you. And, it's the other way around, upside down. The more successful you are, the more people you're serving. And that's a hard pill for lots of folks to follow. Well, hard, men and women. So that'd be the big theme through it all, I think. You took it. What do you think was the big theme?
It's been a couple of years since I went through that. I think that the model is not like you show that funnel, that it's not you down.
That's right.
But we are lay.
That's right.
So much of our ministries are lay-led.
So.
Do you find that it's better if leaders only stay in a position a certain amount of time?
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 years.
It's kind of the max end.
And that's all you ought to want to stay. Because during those 3 or 4 years, the Holy Spirit's been working on you, and your eyes have been open to see more opportunities, places to serve, and you ought to be wanting to move on to maximize your impact on the kingdom. It's, the kingdom of God's always on the move, and it kind of runs contrary to that when people camp out.
Well,
It
and
just
then
does.
then it starts to become
That ownership thing.
my
is-
ministry,
That's right.
which is no, it's God's
Ownership
ministry.
kicks into that thing.
Yeah,
And,
that's just our human nature. That's our
and
flesh.
you need to keep rotating to make room for other people to come up. Because, that the greatest resource every church has is its people. And the Lord's bringing people with all different gifts and talents. And if you clog the top, if you clog the leadership roles, then there's no room for other people to move into that and to get the experience of leading by serving. So, yeah, there's always that picture of leadership in the church where the world is at the top up here, and that's the most important. There's always room at the bottom, see? And it's that way in the secular world. There's always room at the bottom because people are fighting to get to the top. Well, in the church, you got to die to get to the bottom, and there's always room at the bottom. Not many people want to die to themselves. They just don't. So, but you can't unless you die for yourself. Die to yourself, you can't live for others. You surely can't live for the Lord.
The other big takeaway is when you share your kind of your journey, your testimony.
That's in the first one.
In the first session, and just like with any kind of healing or growth or anything, it's not linear at all.
No.
That there are peaks and there are valleys, and there are peaks and there are valleys.
That's right.
The whole way.
That's right, and that's natural.
Yes.
A lot of people think that you become a Christian, then you're on a skateboard to glory, and nothing goes wrong. But it's not that
Nathan
way.
shared that in his sermon this week at the chapel in Cross Point, that there are pastors that make the impression that once you become a Christian, it's all sunshine and roses and you're not going to have trouble. But Jesus does not say that. That is not biblical at all. He said in this world you will have trouble and you will have tribulations. But I find it's those lower points where you draw closer to Him, for sure.
Sure, because you need it.
You have to.
Yeah, you need it.
You either turn towards Him or away. So.
Yeah. And I'll be here in the chapel and on the school campus this coming weekend. Looking forward to doing that. And,
Crawling, what is it?
standing, crawling, or climbing.
Yes.
Standing, crawling, or climbing. Now, see, you would have remembered that if you'd have been there, but you didn't. You're over here, so you wouldn't have heard.
Right,
that.
I didn't. I remember the slides because I helped with the slides. But no, you will come over here this week. Yes.
Yep.
It has been a long time since I've been to a Sunday at the Historic.
And your mama
Just
went
because
to,
I'm over here. That's part of my
your
job.
mom was saying last week it's been a long time since she's been to the Saturday afternoon service, so she went to Saturday afternoon this week. People glad to see her there. She's glad to see some of her buddies there. And then on Sunday, she watched this service and the Cross Point service. Next week she'll be here at one of these. So,
We got an email from someone a friend of theirs, and they live somewhere far away, another state, and a friend recommended that she start watching our service during COVID, and she's still watching it. I can't remember what state she's from.
wow.
But
That's a big group of
sent in a
people.
prayer request because she feels connected to our church, even though she has never set foot
Yeah.
in our church. So it's amazing that online we think, well, 10 people are watching live. No, the people that come in after and watch later, it's amazing.
That's right. It's a lot of folks in that online ministry. A lot of them. And that's one of the things that I think we were blessed. We built the chapel, and the Lord gave us insight to put in all the technology for online ministries and stuff. And then 2 weeks after we opened it, but we were right there ready to go. And it's sad that many of the churches, I would dare say that most of the churches who were forced to do online ministry because of COVID, as quick as they can get out of that, they quit.
Well, it's not easy.
No, it's not
It
easy.
requires a lot of assistance and help and equipment and
Oh, yeah. Not cheap.
manpower.
But, the idea that you're able to reach people, and, we got a lot of people here that are in nursing homes, and they
Yeah.
get shut in at different times for different reasons. All the Bible studies that we're doing online now, that technology has many, many, many uses other than just a worship service on Sunday morning. And it touches our people, but more than that, it touches a huge audience of people that we just can't, we may never see their faces, not this side of glory. But praise God, we will at one time. So what else you got going on?
Well, speaking of online Bible studies, we have two. We have an online study for women starting not this Friday, but the next. So that's September 15th, I believe. That one's going to be on the book of Hebrews. Pastor Jonathan is doing a study for men that starts the last Tuesday of September on Zoom. And that one is Psalm 23.
Great.
So some flexible options for people who travel a lot or are snowbirds and different things, and especially men that work during the day, and another option for you.
And we'll get, another week or two, we'll start getting some of the folks who bail out in the summertime. They'll start to come back now.
They'll start coming back. This morning I was walking the dog, and it was actually a little crisp.
Felt good, didn't it?
It did. I know that's, summer. It's still summer officially, but...
But 80 feels good.
But 80 feels good.
80 feels good. August, from end of July through August, that gets pretty, not for the faint-hearted. That humidity gets up there like that, whoa.
And we definitely keep the air conditioning companies busy in August, and because without fail, one of our locations has some kind of air conditioning issue in August.
Yeah, you look at the campuses.
Oh man, how many air conditioning units do we have?
I don't know.
Just in the Mission Mall is 10.
Yeah, that's a lot. But
Thank goodness,
that's
thank
a
you,
necessary
Lord,
infrastructure.
that somebody does that business and is consistently helping us with it for sure.
Yep.
For sure.
By God's grace. So did you cook? You know what your mama cooked yesterday? Biscuits. We had biscuits.
You had biscuits?
Yesterday. Country style steak, rice and gravy.
You've had that twice in 1 month now. You're living large.
Yeah, I think your
But
mom.
you got biscuits this time.
I think your mom was setting me up for something. I'm not sure what's coming on that.
Oh,
There's
okay.
something coming.
Something's coming.
She hinted around about this apple cider vinegar.
Oh, she's getting ready.
She said it's a nutritious. She has it in it's a bottle.
It's a jar, yeah. It's a drink.
Yeah, it's like.
It's actually not bad.
Nutritious. There's another word she had in there too. I think she would like me to see or hear that it is exhilarating, but
Exhilarating.
I didn't see that on the jar.
That wasn't the description?
And apple cider. That if it was just that now.
Right, that's one thing.
But then you hang that third word, vinegar, on there, and that makes you stop and take pause here a little bit.
If you have to hold your nose to drink something. However, they have added flavors in those, so the smell, the pungency is not there.
What?
It's not as bad. They add like grape or cranberry to kind of cut down on the acidity
Okay. So
to make it more palpable. It's still apple cider vinegar, which has a lot of health benefits apparently. But it also comes in a pill, so I would say, why not just take the capsule?
well, there you go. Yeah, just take the pill. I'm with that.
Just add another vitamin.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a thing full of them, She goes through and has the basket with all those things in there, and she puts them out there, does them at night. Her little cup of things and my double handful of them. But why would you? You know, I get the acidity. You know, I get that. I put lemon in my
Right.
iced tea.
Yeah.
Well, there's your daily quotient of acidity. You know, is that what
The
you're trying to get
citrus.
from it?
No, apple cider vinegar it's fermented, so it's got a lot of really good things for your gut and just overall health.
So you're saying then that we ought to be drinking a lot of beer because that has acidity and
No, that's different.
it's fermented?
It is fermented, but I don't think that's the same.
But you know, there's
Because you don't see people have, oh, that person's got an apple cider vinegar gut, belly. You don't, alcohol's got extra stuff.
okay.
It's not good.
So anyway, somewhere you might.
Okay, but you got biscuits, so you're knowing something's coming.
Something's coming. Something's coming.
So then this morning, did you have eggs and biscuits and some kind of sausage or something and fruit?
Nope. That we'll have some of that. But you know, we had that yesterday on Monday. We had the
Oh, yes,
biscuits
yeah.
and all that on Monday about 2:00 in the afternoon. And then for supper last night, I had 2 biscuits
With
split
gravy.
just split with butter. And then your mama fried up some of that kind of thick sliced bacon. And so I had
You got a biscuit.
the biscuits with butter, and in between the 2 halves was the bacon. It was good.
Happy Labor Day for you. Happy Labor Day.
It doesn't take much. It doesn't
I
take much.
went to a movie yesterday.
You did. What's out worth seeing?
Golda.
Golda Meir.
Yeah. Helen Mirren. Man, they did quite the makeup job on her. She's a beautiful lady. I mean, you wouldn't recognize that it was Helen Mirren
Really?
unless you saw her name. She did a really good job with that role. It was interesting. I didn't know a whole lot about 1974 when
heard
they
something
regained
on-
the Sinai.
I heard something on BBC. I listened to that a good bit about that movie, and said that when that movie was cast, that a number of people in Israel just raised a fuss about it because they didn't cast a Jewish woman to play that part.
British.
That's why it was on BBC. They were talking about that. But that she was such a great actress that she had pulled it off. Evidently, they'd seen a preview of it or something like that. She is a good actress. There's no doubt of that.
So she did a really good job with it, and it was interesting. Ariel Sharon was the general, one of the generals. So just to kind of see, and then they Sadat, and
Moshe Dayan was in there.
and then they would show actual clips of, when they signed the peace treaty. And
Yeah, she was something. Those kinds of historical, factual movies are the kinds of things I like. And they always, I'm sure they gloss it up just a little bit,
of course, it's a movie.
but the basic tone and tenor and story is the same. So I'll catch that. That'll be on TV at some point in time. I'll get it.
Yep, that'll be something coming up for you, because that's right up your alley.
Yeah, she was flipping around and hit the thing about that latest Indiana Jones
It was a flop.
movie. You know, I don't know anything about it, but anyway, popped up on the Netflix or something like that. You know, and I said, "Well, let's check this out." So she hit the button and boom, 1995.
No. So she's like, no, not worth it.
Indiana Jones. You know, that was Churchill or something, perhaps, but 1995 for Indiana Jones, I don't think so.
Okay, well, when Golda comes out to your streaming platform, I don't know if I'd pay $20, but I mean, I did actually go to the movie theater, but I got popcorn and stuff too, so it was an
Well, that was another
experience.
$20 for the popcorn.
It was an experience. And we've discovered the cutest little movie theater in Hilton Head. Now, I've never really realized it was there. I only thought there was the one here and then the one right there at
Northridge.
Northridge. No, there's one further down by Sea Pines, and it's really cute. Small.
It must be where they show the films like Golda. They must not be expecting a big crowd of people there for that.
Huge seats. I mean, they're huge seats, and there aren't many seats in the theater. So, but it was nice, something different. I don't go to the movies very often.
There was a thing on the news the other day about who's the girl that is the big hit now? What's her name?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, yeah. That they've filmed her concert and made a movie out of it.
Oh my gosh.
It's not a movie, it's the concert. It's the concert. And it's coming out sometime this fall. And they're not going to use Ticketmaster because that blew up
Right,
this concert
that was
stuff. So they've got a whole new platform that's doing this. And the tickets are going to be $19.95. That's where it came from, to be able to see that thing. And the demand for it is just amazing. Just amazing. So I say that to say it probably won't be in your little theater. It'll be at these other theaters, and every theater is going to be showing the thing. And
So they're actually going to show it in theaters?
yeah, that's what
Not
it's.
streaming?
No. It's going to be in movie theaters.
Oh, wow. Oh my
No, it's
gosh.
made for the movie theaters. It's going to end up being streamed, I reckon. But
That's going to, and just getting tickets for it's going to be ridiculous.
yeah. So
Goodness gracious.
anyway,
That girl, she's smart. She's got gifts.
I won't be in the line.
I live vicariously through my children.
Yeah, I won't be in the line. No.
But my young adults, they're not children, saw her in L.A. They're still talking about it. They said it was amazing. Amazing.
Now, I looked online the other day about this. It's a Beautiful Noise
I don't know.
Broadway play,
Oh.
Life of Neil Diamond.
Oh, my gosh.
Life of Neil Diamond. And I checked on that, man. That's getting all kind of reviews and stuff in there. And I saw an interview with him.
So it's still running in New York?
It's still running.
That might be the only reason I'd go to New York.
So I'm thinking I'd like to go up there, but then it's in New York.
Well, maybe they'll take it on the road.
Maybe so. But anyway, he said it was hard. It was hard for him to watch because it's so real.
Yeah.
See? And it's about his life, and played through the music of his, and the music is about because he wrote all those songs. But that it's about him developing and then developing the Parkinson's, and so you see the gamut of the thing. And he said that was very hard for him.
Did you see the video of him when he was there for the opening night?
Yeah. Or in a few short years. Parkinson's
That
tough.
was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. Was Neil Diamond.
Parkinson's is
Twice
tough.
I've been to see him.
Yeah.
And the lady next to me had the gall.
In the little theater?
No, this was in the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C. And she nudged me at one point in the concert and said, "Could you please stop singing?"
What?
Yeah. And I looked at her, and her husband's on the other side of her sleeping.
Oh, golly.
And I was like, probably not going to do that.
Why are
but
you here? Why are you here?
How do you tell somebody at a Neil Diamond concert, don't sing Sweet Caroline?
And everybody's into that.
Forever in Blue Jeans? How do you, are you telling
Everybody's
me
into
you
that.
might need to step in the aisle?
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Great concert.
great concert. Great
Okay,
concert.
so maybe they'll take it on the road and you can go to Atlanta. Or Jacksonville would be good.
Columbia.
Charlotte.
Yes, somewhere.
I don't know, maybe Columbia?
Atlanta's getting creepy too now. Those really
I
big
haven't-
cities like
yeah,
that.
I haven't been to Atlanta in years except the airport in merciful days. Going through customs in Atlanta.
Through the TSA.
It's different.
See that now? It's still the airport out there by Hateville South.
Yeah.
Aren't they? But I heard they
They
were
keep
building
adding
another
on.
one
They're adding another terminal, and they keep adding on, which
Well, they were talking at one time about building a big airport on the other side, on the north side of Atlanta, but I guess that didn't work.
I don't know if that'd ever be finished in our lifetime, but I've been through customs in several different countries. Atlanta's just, it's a different beast.
Yeah.
It really is. And you think, oh my goodness, this is people's first impression of the United States. Sorry. But you have to do it. If you're
Yes, you
flying
do.
Delta,
Yes, you do.
you do not have a choice on where you go. So,
No,
anyway.
if anything with Delta is going through Atlanta.
Yes. All right. Well, don't forget the food bank.
Food bank.
God's Goods informational meeting. You can look on the calendar on the website under events. We have tons of Bible studies starting next week.
Very important.
Just about every day of the week, we've got something going on that you can get connected with. That's again on the events calendar of the website. Confirmations rolling. So we'll see you at services this weekend.
Yep.
Padre will be
Padre.
on this campus, and Nathan?
Jonathan, I think.
Jonathan on the other campus.
Yep.
And this week in the e-news, Andy Next is going to be doing his mental health minute.
Great.
So, all right. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Blessing. You didn't even give me a chance. Blessing to see you when I see you. Hope I see you this weekend.